everyone holding up out there? Pat at Ground Zero Salem. I don't have a heavy rule about it, but I typically don't knock them back while I'm making videos. It's not some hardcore, like, I don't want to pollute my perfect content and my well thought out discourses on hardcore and metal with alcohol, but I kind of feel like kind of turns out better when I'm not drinking. But this is the time that I actually feel inspired to do this. There's a big elephant in the room thing that's, I'm sure, occupying everybody's mind. Honestly, like, anxiety is a real thing with probably everybody right about now. I won't talk about my job. It's always been my thing to not really discuss my life outside of being a metal fan and a hardcore fan on this channel so much. I don't go personal other than, well, you've met my wife. If you've seen the video with Amanda, I've mentioned having a kid and everything. But I don't talk about my job or anything like that just because, it's no fun, you know. But I am one of these people that is going to be out there in contact with the public while this whole pandemic crisis is going on. So I need to just chill and talk about some music with you folks. I know everybody's kind of stuck indoors, so what a great time to do it. Hopefully I'll churn out a little bit more content as this continues. I did a great live stream on Instagram with Sir Eric Bauer a couple of nights ago. I'd like to do those more. Kind of sucks because we discovered that it's a lot harder to do like the conference call live streams with like a bunch of people through Hangouts. Like, Hangouts doesn't work with YouTube anymore for one reason or another. It's a lot more complicated now to do that, I guess, at least to us, you know. So we did one on Instagram and kind of shot the shit for an hour. For those who caught that and watched it, thank you. But who knows? I want to do more stuff creatively and keep myself occupied while this is going on, entertain you folks, keep my mind off of shit, keep that passion for loud, chaotic, noisy music going. So I decided to pull out all the LPs that have been piling up since, like, I've gotten so lazy with talking about this shit regularly through updates. I have tons of LPs. Seems like CD updates are easier to do because it's stuff that I always have, like, right in front of me. It's all stuff that I've ripped directly to my Dropbox and stream at work. LPs, there's a little bit more, like, sitting with stuff. So there's a big pile of shit here. A big pile of shit. There's a big pile of acquisitions that date back to, like, December 2019 here that I'm going to talk about, not in any particular order. And vinyl, it's a little different. You know, some of these I stream at work. I have downloads. Some of them I only spawn a couple times. I'm still getting acquainted with. But it's kind of going to be fun pawing through these. So, I don't know. The rambling kind of intro there. I don't have much else to say than that. Let's talk about some tunes and try to forget about everything that's going on for 20 minutes to a half an hour. This is, like, I just got this. First up, this is the Heresy Face Up to It. More than just a reissue. It is a a completely remastered and remixed version of Face Up to It. If you're familiar with Heresy, they were a super important, influential, great gatefold there. This came out on Boss Tunage, great UK reissue label. Hardcore band from the UK from the mid to late 80s. Part of that whole Mermaid Birmingham scene where they competed with bands like Napalm Death, for one, the big one, as far as in terms of being fast. Unlike ENT and Napalm, they didn't really lean towards the grind side of things. They were more inspired by European pure hardcore stuff and, like, heavily influenced by US bands like Siege. Certainly broke the speed barrier. The last stuff that they recorded was probably their best. They're one of those bands where their live stuff, their Peel sessions and BBC sessions actually sound better than their full lengths. This was recorded really weird, being that it had, I don't know if it was a triggered snare or like a sampled snare, something like that, where they were trying to isolate the snare sound, and just for, you know, it was a no man's land of trying to figure out how to record really fast, chaotic music and not have it bleed into each other. So it came out sounding odd. There was tons of reverb on the vocals. The vocalist, John March, on this had this really kind of weird nasally, like posy sounding, like American approach that was sort of like, I don't know, I can't really say it's like Kevin Seconds or Pat Dubar, but you could definitely tell he was appreciating that stuff, but the music was hyper fast. There's covers on this that weren't on the original version. They cover like Siege and Youth of Today, so you can kind of see where they're going with the influence. There's parts that are almost like weirdly rappy on it that are a lot more easy to swallow with this new mix. It sounds like a completely different record almost. It's so loud and full and awesome. I love this record anyway. I heard it, I'm trying to think when I first heard all of it, probably sometime in the late 90s. My friend got a bootleg version of it on Lost and Found under a different name. Voice Your Opinion was the name of the CD. And when I heard that this was, they dug out all the old reels and baked the tapes and everything, I said to myself, I need to actually just like spin that and see if it's worth picking up. It's on Spotify if you want to hear it, and man, is it good. I love this record anyway. I found it to be kind of imperfect and kind of inferior to almost all their other recordings, but still pretty top-notch. Formative record for me, discovering like Crust and Power Violence and all that kind of extreme hardcore stuff. And this like changes the game of it almost completely. Those awkward rappy parts are one kind of blemish on it, but other than that, this record's awesome. It's on black vinyl, so I won't show you that. It's a 3-sided LP, no cool etching or anything, which is kind of weird, but maybe they ran out of funds, I don't know. Really nice fold-out insert there. Cool flyer reproductions. There is a CD included with it as well, which I love that. I'm not sure why. Boss Tunage does that. I think I mentioned that. The Doctor and the Crippins reissue, that also comes with a CD. That's everything on the LPs. So you have various forms of digital and analog stuff to choose from. Great shit. I'm going to talk about this for a very, very short period of time. It's the latest Blood Incantation, Hidden History of the Human Race. Everybody's talked about it. It's very good. Marty just mentioned it on his update yesterday it came up. To echo his sentiments, it's awesome. There's that early Morbid Angel influence and like some proggier death stuff. There's a little bit of psychedelia prog kind of influence. That's whole alien bent. Insane amount of hype backlash too. There's a lot of great records that came out last year. This is definitely up there. You know, the songcraft is the thing that I'm the most concerned with. You know, are the riffs good? Is it memorable? And the answer is a resounding yes with all of it. But, you know, you just get kind of sick of seeing people arguing about it and going on and on about it. Music's awesome. Doesn't take anything away from that. I think it's been mentioned before that there's this weird pamphlet that comes with it. Stargate Research Society. Remember that movie? Remember that series? Stargate? Yeah, cool, like propaganda kind of stuff in it. You know, that's fun. Still haven't seen him live yet. Who knows when I'll get the chance now. I've seen Spectral Voice. I'm not sure which members they share with Spectral Voice, but I met a couple of those guys at the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest, and they were really cool people, sweethearts, and I wish them all the best. Wish every touring band the best right now with everything that's going on. Then we've got the Obsidian Tongue Volume 3 LP that came out on Bindrune this year. Speaking of Marty, this is great. I mean, I saw this band, they relocated from one area of New England to another. I know they're in Maine now, and they were originally from, I want to say near Providence. I didn't research that, so I don't remember. But they were great live. I saw them, like, I think during their demo era live, and they were particularly good. I think I saw them with Noxera, like a local black metal band. Great, you know, sprawling, expansive, not losing any aggression in that. Just like fast ripping black metal, but like enough like slow atmospheric parts. Some cool, clean vocals that I'm not the best guy to draw comparisons with any type of black metal, but I have just gotten into like the Frost era Enslaved, and the clean parts kind of remind me of that, like less blatantly trying to be Vikings or some shit, but it brings to mind that kind of stuff. Very fucking fun, enjoyable, well written, you know, nature-based, non-sketch kind of black metal shit on Bindrune. So I ordered all these new releases from Bindrune when they came out. This one was a heavy one for me. This is the Nicotchwin Panopticon split. Rune's Heart is a 20-minute epic song. Austin Lund talks about how his son Rune was very sick as a little kid, had to have heart surgery. There's just like a long story about what he went through with that. And being a father myself, like I read it and it hit me pretty fucking hard. The song itself, it also hit me pretty fucking hard because it's a ripper. It's very good. You know, Panopticon style, you know, they've got this washing over you, massive, thick, gauzy sound that I'm sure you're all familiar with this great folk break, you know, towards the middle. There's some tasty, like, almost traditional kind of heavy metal elements to it that I was kind of picking up on. Like, one riff almost gave me sort of almost like Thin Lizzy vibes. I don't know if that's just me talking out of my ass, but I definitely got that from some of the riffs on here. Always quality stuff coming out from that guy. And then my favorite Bindrune band, Nicotchwin, more great tracks from them. You know, unlike, I feel like they have a little bit, also speaking of like kind of like a traditional heavy metal kind of attack, there's something about Nicotchwin, they have that sort of nature worshipping sort of thing going on, but they also have this really gallopy, traditional heavy metal inspired sort of thing kind of weaving its way into their music. They have good use of acoustic guitars and melody and everything like that, but they're, you know, you can see they're wearing their influences on their sleeves, like they covered Over the Mountain by Ozzy and stuff like that. There's something very like true metal underneath all, you know, the sort of like thick vibes of nature and everything that they have in their music. I really, really like that band a lot. I think I have everything by them at this point. Then you have the Aerial Ruin Panopticon split, which is all acoustic. You know, stuff like the Panopticon side is kind of unfamiliar territory for me. The closest thing that I've listened to that sounds like that type of, you know, country, folk, whatever Austin's doing that I've heard is Lucero. The main difference being I really like Panopticon stuff that sounds like that. I'm not a Lucero fan. And the two couldn't be more different. I'm just like that ignorant about this kind of acoustic folk stuff. And it's really well done. It's really somber. There's some good covers. Chris Knight and Blaze Foley. You know, very soulful, very good. The other side, Aerial Ruin, I'm going to echo the sentiments of Ben. He said that it's a little bit more like British folk, you know, along the lines of maybe like Fairport Convention or something like that. But not morose, but, you know, kind of a little bit more on the melancholic side of acoustic folk for both bands, just doing different takes on it. Then, switching gears, this was huge late last year. I still need to spin it more times. I've spun it at work a bunch. I mean, it's all of like 8 to 12 minutes worth of music, one-sided LP, Protocol from Florida, Celebration of Violence, Bloodsport, .45 RPM, one-sided LP. Seems to be going that way more lately. Like, it's actually cheaper to press these than 7 inches, I guess, according to some information I've gotten through various channels. And this is brutal, raw, hardcore, very pounding, fucking rhythmic, deep, throaty vocals, you know, distorted and blown out, but with actual songwriting underneath it. Very much in the vein of lots of stuff that's hot right now. Protocol is one of the bands that's doing it the best. There's a handful of other bands. Armor is another one that's on the same label and doing something kind of similar sound-wise. And that label is 11 PM Records. Also Dynastic Records, probably a split release. But, yeah, very fucking gristly, raw, hardcore punk. Good shit. Going on into my early brutal death metal journey, I mentioned this. I got the first Broken Hope LP, Swamped in Gore. This is a Flogo reissue. debut came out 91. Thought it was a little bit later than that, but yeah, going all the way back to 91. And like I mentioned on my last update, you know, it's the beginning of brutal, quote unquote, brutal death metal from Chicago. Definitive in its own way. You know, these guys were shredders. They could play really well. I feel like they were a little less show-offy and, you know, shred for the sake of shred than, like, say, a Suffocation or bands like that. There's a lot of, like, attention paid to, like, more, like, mid-paced, really punishing stuff, although they definitely knew how to rip your face off when the time came. Obviously going for some real, you know, Cannibal Corpse of the time inspired gore shit, Swamped in Gore, Bag of Parts, Gorehog, Goblin the Guts, Cannibal Crave. My personal favorite, Claustrophobic Agnostic Dead. I was in that band. Played Triangle in Claustrophobic Agnostic Dead, but yeah, milestone of 90s brutal death metal, a band that pushed the envelope as far as extremity goes. Floger Records reissue. Saw this at residency a month or two ago. Had to pull the trigger because I loved this band. I think I had the Worship Destruction LP. One of the funniest names that was like a big in-joke with all my friends at the time, involved in like prank phone calls and all kinds of other shit. Asschapel. Fucking Asschapel. This was reissued by Southern Lord. Double LP that contains all their material. Nice gatefold there. I think it's on red vinyl. Yeah. Oh no, not red. This kind of like copper tone. Very nice. I mean, Southern Lord, when they do these vinyl reissues, they always do a nice job. Everything's nice and thick and quality. There's posters and all that kind of stuff included. One thing I don't understand is, like, they run out of money when it comes to, like, these little weird tearaway jackets. You know, it's got a nice sticker on it, but these things always deteriorate, and you have to replace them. Whatever, who cares? Being nitpicky here. Asschapel was a band that was around the early 2000s. They were kind of in that realm, kind of that scene with tragedy, catharsis, Unra, all these bands that was like more or less like this merging of like crust punks that had their act together, that could actually play their instruments, some of which were going into more of a metal territory. Asschapel was definitely no exception. I think they were from Memphis. I'll put a caption correcting my dumbass mistake if they weren't. They were from somewhere in the South. I remember that. But they had that sort of like kind of thick cloud of despair that bands like Tragedy, all the Burdett related bands had, that kind of like overwhelming, dense fog kind of thing going on. But also they had a tendency to really whip out some like early 80s sort of thrash metal tendencies, you know, with the triple picking and stuff like that. Very venomous and pissed, and from what I'm told, very fun live. I never got to see them. Very good. I'm not sure when this came out. I think maybe this year it was reissued. Oh wow, no, reissued back in 2016. All right. Good shit. I'm gonna have to edit this so much. Maybe that's why I don't drink while I make videos. Probably not. We have Mythic, the anthology. So Mythic, short-lived, 3-piece, all-female death metal band from Pittsburgh, early 90s. Mourning in the Winter Solstice, classic early death metal 7-inch that I believe it was originally on Relapse. Okay, yeah. Sometimes part of my brain was like, is it Relapse or is it Seraphic Decay? But it was Relapse. With this cover, this is the most overused photo for metal, by the way. You should pull up a Google search of it. This, Citizen's Arrest, there's so many different versions of it. Mythic were one of the first to use it. Just very fucking primordial, swampy, overwhelmingly heavy, crushing death metal from the early 90s. Very Pennsylvania, very tri-state, you know, like the Incantation 7 inches, Rotrevor. It's right in the pocket with all that stuff. Just fucking destroys you. It also has the Immortal Realm demo, which was recorded live, and a rehearsal tape from 1991. All of which are cool to hear for posterity's sake. The whole LP is a cool listen, but the main reason you're going to be picking this up is for Mourning in the Winter Solstice, which you can still get the original, but it's like $150 now. I don't want to spend too much time on the new Worm because I want to do a full review of it, but I just wanted to throw a shout out to Phantom Slaughter, who sent it to me. I have been listening to it a bit. I need to absorb it more. It's beautiful, fucking great. It's black doom metal kind of stuff, in a way that, you know, is kind of their own approach to mixing and combining those two genres. Their debut I loved. I did a full review of it like 3 years ago now at this point, and that record's quite good. It's considerably more raw than this one. It's a little bit more like kind of Greek black metal demos and like Gloomlord. Like, I highly recommend the debut quite a bit. This, they're kind of expanding a little bit more. They're exploring like Thurgothan influences, disembowelment influences. You know, they're kind of involving a disembowelment influence in a way that I haven't heard other bands do. You know, they really put a lot of time. Like, this has been getting mixed and re-recorded and perfected for like 2 years, which is very respectable. It came out on Iron Bonehead. This is one of the few records from this year that I've gotten into. Like, this and the new Midnight, I think, are the only ones that I've really been checking out. I just kind of OD'd on so much stuff coming out last year that I haven't really bothered to pick up anything new. It's got this like swampy green vinyl here. It's great. Super good record. Talk about it more, break it down track by track in the weeks to come when I can actually get a little bit more academic about it. Up next, Devourment, Obscene Majesty on Relapse 2019. Heard some people talking about this. Obviously, I know the name, and as far as like that brutal death metal stuff goes, Devourment's early shit is very influential and very important. I know the J.P. Whitkin painting from their first album. What is it? Molesting the Decapitated, I think is the name. You know, I've always been, up until very recently, apprehensive about getting into this kind of stuff. If you watch my channel, you know I've been deep diving on the people in the genre kind of forging forward post Suffocation and bands like that. This record is over fucking whelming. It's good. There's some really fucking great tempo changes. Some really incredible guttural vocals. The production's perfect. It's fucking abrasive. The guitar tone is almost just discomfort inducing. It's incredibly low tuned. It's an assault on the central nervous system. I don't know what else to say. It's really fucking good, but I still haven't properly really absorbed it yet because there's so much to take in. There's a lot going on. It's fucking overwhelming, you know. It takes a lot to leave that kind of impression on me, believe me. Picked this up at Residency, the same trip I picked up the Asschapel. This is repress of Unquestionable Presence by Atheist, released on Season of Mist back in 2013. Originally came out in 1991. I like Piece of Time. I've owned that for a while. They were a band that I was familiar with peripherally back in the early 90s when I was getting into Roadrunner bands, Death, Obituary, and all that stuff. I always knew that Atheist, along with Cynic, were the technical proggy bands. You know, I knew a couple songs here and there. When did I get Piece of Time? Piece of Time I got over 10 years ago. I like that record a lot. Yeah, obviously the jazzy elements, the sort of like fusion jazz influence on this is palpable, but it's not overstated. It's not, you know, completely knocking you on your ass. You know, I've listened to a little bit of that stuff. I love Mahavishnu Orchestra and a few other, After Forever and a few other bands like that. is it After Forever? I can't remember the name of that other band. Whatever, not important. But yeah, I like a little bit of stuff, mostly Mahavishnu Orchestra. And Atheist is cool. You know, I like how they weave that sort of like floating, sort of technical but very smooth influence from fusion jazz into death metal. I like the vocals. You know, they're not super punishing death metal vocals. They're on the higher end, like almost more extreme thrash kind of vocals. They do break up that kind of syncopated, you know, jazzy sort of stuff with like pretty fast like death metal moments here and there, and I dig that quite a bit. So cool to get, you know, a classic of the genre that I'm not familiar with. Like it a lot. I'm a sucker for cool paintings, like actual paintings on album covers, especially ones where you can see the brush strokes and like the sort of grit of the acrylics and everything on there. I think Nodden's Madrigal by Ulver has that as well. Finally, I'm just going to leave these in the jackets because they have these nice like obi strips. Just kind of leave those in there. But this is from Ashes Rise. Their first two LPs that were, I think, recorded at the same time or at least within the same year. Concrete and Steel and Silence, they're both been remastered. One of these, I think it was Concrete and Steel, was originally self-titled and they added the name on for one reason or another. But, you know, apocalyptic melodic crust from the year 2000 from Ashes Rise were really great. I still think that Nightmares that came out, which was, I think, their third record, is probably my favorite, maybe the split with Victims. It's been a long time since I listened to either of those, but I couldn't say no to these. I didn't own them, and they were cheap anyway at the store at Newbury Comics, and they were like knocked down on sale, I think like a month and a half after I first saw them on the shelves, knocked down to like $9.99. So I snapped both of them up very quickly, and that was a shit show of an update, but it was an update, and I talked about some vinyl. So let me go edit this friggin' bag of doorknobs that I want to call a vinyl update.